if there is a fire, what's your action plan?
Yeah.
So, and if their action plan is to stay and defend, then they've got to look at what they're using to do that. So that's where we come along and we can provide information, assistance to them. So look, you'll set up here, or you'll be good to defend, or maybe look at doing this.
Welcome to Building Ideas, the Master Builders SA podcast. I'm your host, CEO Will Frogley. Join me as I speak with some characters from South Australia's building industry.
A lot has changed in 40 years, but one thing hasn't. Hard work. It's what our members do, and it's what we do for them. Cbus Super, making hard work pay off since 1984.
Ash Wednesday is a pretty infamous day in South Australian history, but one positive that came out of that day is it spawned a great South Australian business, Cribb Bushfire Protection. Today we're joined by Matt Cribb. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thanks for having me.
So that's right, isn't it? That the company started off the back of that infamous day about 40 years ago.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I think he thought what he could do to help the community and better protect people moving forward from the devastation. So,
and this is your uncle, right?
This is my Uncle John,
Yeah.
yes.
John. So John Cribb started the business off the back of that infamous day about 40 years ago. Now, so, I mean, that wreaked a fair bit of devastation. Now, he said he wanted to do something to better protect the South Australian community. What kind of work was he doing before he started that business?
He was a mechanic by trade.
Yep.
So, and then just mainly to do with mechanical. So,
yep.
Then he, ventured out, something completely different, new, never done before. So, just built it up from scratch.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Where it is today. So,
he was just horrified about what had happened.
I think so, because he lived around Stirling area. So, he was in the hills, and all his friends and all that were obviously affected, and people he knew. So, from there he built it up, and
I mean, that's the thing about the hills, isn't it? It's like absolutely stunning place, but it is very prone to bushfire risk.
Oh, it is, yeah, definitely. Especially the places we've been, installed systems, like you think, nice place to live, but if a fire did come through, like, how do you protect yourself? Like, there's no way out sometimes, so you are stuck there. So what's your best defence to help you survive, pretty much, and asset protection? So
yeah, I've had some close calls with some pretty serious bushfires myself. When I was living over in Port Lincoln, I was there when the infamous Black Tuesday bushfires were on.
Oh, right, yep.
And I think certainly I didn't realise at the time just how quickly fires can actually move. If you've got a really hot day and the wind's really blowing, the amount of land that they can cover within a very short amount of time is pretty terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've never seen one in effect, but stories you've been told and that.
Yeah,
they do move very quickly.
Yeah,
and the embers kilometres ahead of the fire front can create another fire front. So you've got to be very aware.
And I guess the decision a lot of people have to make very quickly is, do I stay and fight it, or do I get the hell out as quickly as I can?
Correct, yeah.
What kind of advice can you give people in terms of making that call? It's always best to have a plan when it comes to
Well, that's right, yeah. It's up to the individual. We can recommend things, but we'll never tell someone this is what you should do. Like, if they're safe to stay and defend, if their property's protected by one of our systems, would be nice. That gives them the best chance to stay defend the property. But if they have no protection, obviously best is to get out if safe to do so when you can.
And protection really involves a lot of water, doesn't it?
Correct. Yeah, it does. Yeah. That's the one of the main thing. Yeah, that's where the design of our nozzles as such been developed over the year, 40 years now in development and still researching, developing, have best protection, we think, to help save property.
So we'll talk a bit more about, the best way to do things and what you offer. But first, I guess Adelaide Hills is infamous in terms of bushfire risk. What other parts of South Australia are particularly prone to bushfire risk?
Well, like you said, Port Lincoln.
Yeah.
And then pretty much anywhere can be. You just don't know, especially the way climate's going these days. Fire could start on the flat plains. Not many shrubs, trees around, but grass fires, embers coming over. So pretty much anywhere they can be these days.
Mm-hmm.
So I think everyone's got to be aware of risk of fire. So
absolutely. So tell us a bit more about, we'll get into the details there in a bit, but tell us a bit more about Cribb, the business, the services you offer, how many people you employ, where you're based, all that type of thing.
Yep, sure. Yep. So we're only a small family business, as such would call it. So there's 3 fitters, installers at this stage, based up it's always been based in Adelaide Hills, originally Uradler. Now we've moved out to the new office back of Woodside, so between Woodside and Loberthal.
It's beautiful around there.
Yeah, it is nice. Yeah, beautiful area.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been going for 40 years, and we're not a massive business. We don't have 10, 20 people, but we try to provide the best business we can, if that makes sense, to everyone's individual needs, because every house is different. So we don't just create a system and it suits every house. We go out and tailor make it to suit every house to the best standards we can.
Yeah.
And looks is a big thing. Like, everyone these days want their house to look nice, can't see it. So so everything's tailor made to suit every place. So
and most of the builds you service, are they around the hills area?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, a lot of the hills. Kangaroo Island, we've got a fair few over there, which is the latest. Those big fires went through a few years ago, so they're very aware. So so mainly the hills, Kangaroo Island, up through the Barossa. There's a few. So pretty much a lot of the areas. Yeah, down the southeast, a few down there. So.
And the bushfire code regulations are changing. What do people need to know about that? Anyone who might be building homes?
Well, that's where the codes all change, because councils always have their different criterias, regions, CFS, and all that. So when it comes to the actual systems we supply, there is not mandatory to have as such. So it's more of a personal need. Even in a flame zone.
It's almost like an insurance, really.
It is, correct.
For your number one asset, which is your home.
Your home, yeah. And that's the problem. There is no insurance. Like, you don't lower your premiums having a fire system, where this is where it should either be a mandatory thing, living in prone areas, to have a system, or maybe insurance look at making it a bit cheaper. Oh, yeah, you've got a system to protect your home, so we can knock X amount off or something like that. So... But it's more just the actual building itself, design, like with shutters and all that come into living in flame zone or something like that. So,
I mean, really, if you're living somewhere like the Adelaide Hills, it should just be an essential thing that you do, shouldn't it? I mean, it's one thing if you live down at, Grange or something, wouldn't be as much.
No, that's right.
But if you're somewhere like in the Adelaide Hills, which is a known risky area, and it's your number one asset, the place you live in, you'd want to do everything to look after it.
You do, yeah, that's right, yeah, yep. So, but no, we provide hose reels, fire pumps, CFS hydrants. So we do have a bit of a variety of offers. So, yeah.
And you're working primarily with new home construction, or a bit of a mix of both?
Bit of both, yeah. Yep. So a lot of new homes, which is the internal system, which is we can run the pipe work inside as it's getting built. So, and then you don't see it as such, but lots of retrofit as well on existing homes.
Yeah.
A lot of people come into the area and bought the place in the last year or two and think, how can we protect it? So, which is good. Yeah, a bit of variety.
Absolutely. And you're pretty busy in particular around Mount Barker and places like that, I would have thought?
Yeah, we've got a few in back of Mount Barker and that. So, no, it's been good. Yeah.
Yep. And your uncle started the business. Are there any other Cribbs in the business currently? I know James Snellgrove's there.
Yep, so they've come in yet. So it's only myself. I'm the last Cribb in the business at the moment. So, but in saying that, down the future there may be more come in. So so no, James has come along and Mark. They brought the business off of John. So they've come in and put a fresh touch and a few ideas, which is great. So moving it forward, which you need to do. So you can't just keep it going as is kind of thing. So they've improved a lot of things and put their thoughts and ideas into it. So it's been really good. Yeah, happy to have them aboard.
Yeah, so if you're a home buyer and you don't know a thing about this area, what's your first piece of advice to them?
Well, it'd be more probably like you were saying before, if there is a fire, what's your action plan? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and if their action plan is to stay and defend, then they've got to look at what they're using to do that. So that's where we come along, and we can provide information assistance to them. So look, you'll set up here, or yep, you'll be good to defend, or maybe look at doing this. So yeah, so it's pretty much up to them how they want to plan it. So
yeah. And obviously, there's different budgets that you can accommodate.
Correct.
Based
Yeah,
on the
different
risk.
budgets.
So,
yep.
So talk us through some options for someone, I guess, at the lower end of that scale, up to some options you can present to people who've got a bit more coin to play with.
Yep, correct. Yep. So probably the first option would be hose reel fire pump. So that at least you've got the ability to put out embers. It's not going to full fire front coming through. It's not going to, obviously, you won't be standing out there with a hose trying to put out that. So it's more the effect of the fire coming through beforehand, trying to stop it, the embers lighting up in the gutters or something like that, or the aftermath of the fire mopping up. So that's probably the basic option. Just at least you've got something, not just a garden hose. And then right through to the full nozzle protection. So you pretty much turn the key, start the system, and either leave or go inside or whatever you, hope for the best. So,
yeah, I'm trying to think, when were the last significant bushfires in the Adelaide Hills?
What was that? Be Cudlee Creek and Samson Flat. They weren't too long ago. So I think there's a fair few homes that were lost during that. So and we had a fair few that were saved through our systems, which is great. So, we had one bloke at the back of Lobethal, had the system for numerous years, and he said, I hope it works. He wasn't worried. Well, he was worried, sorry. Not sure on anything. Like, fires are unpredictable. Fire come through, phone call the next day. Oh, thank you very much. That actually did exactly what I was hoping it was do. So, which is great.
That's what you want to hear.
You do, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, talk us through the cost of some of these options you were talking about before. How much people could expect to pay for some of the systems?
Yeah. Well, that's obviously every house is different. Like different sizes, different. Like the outcome, we try to protect the whole house, if that makes sense. We don't. Some people out there, they'll do just a couple of sprinklers on the ridge feed and say, yep, that's going to wet down. As soon as the winds come through, the wind's just going to blow it away. So we don't do a half system, if that makes sense. If we're going to protect a property, we'll do it at our best ability to make sure it's all protected. So, which that comes at a cost. Well, it varies from a smaller house up to a larger scale house. With some of the big commercial ones on that, they're upwards of $100,000 systems on them. So,
but bottom line, think of how much damage you can cause if you don't have anything.
That's
in there.
right. Yeah. Whereas probably your average home, if they've got a sufficient amount of water tank and all that, so we're just supplying the pump full install. It's around the $20,000 mark. So it is still a big outlay of something that you hope to never use.
Yeah,
but
bit of peace of mind there.
Peace of mind, yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, in Port Lincoln, it was the northerly winds that you really had to watch out for. You know, maybe a 40-degree day with 30-knot northerly winds. Right. That's when it would be prime bushfire conditions. What's the riskiest conditions for the Adelaide Hills?
It'd be the same, yeah. And it's unpredictable too.
Yeah,
especially all the valleys and that. They swirl around through them. I'm no expert on this side of it, but you could just, the stories people do tell. Well, we know a lot of people in the CFS, and they tell that story of how it swung around on them, wasn't meant to come that way. So unpredictable is probably the biggest thing. So you just don't know.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if this is your particular area of expertise or not, but I mean, how many of the bushfires are man-made to start with? How many are just
That's right. Yeah, there is a lot, isn't there?
There's a lot. You know, firebugs. Yep. Yeah. So to tell you what, in terms of criminal penalties, a firebug, surely they're the ones they should get pretty steep penalties.
Yeah,
you know, the way they're recklessly putting people's lives at risk.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, they should be away for a long time as far as I'm concerned, because it's basically attempted murder.
It is. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
So and I think a couple of them been in the CFS too, the last one. So they must get adrenaline rush of lighting the fire and then going to fight it. So
yeah.
So
incredible, isn't it? So Matt, that a $20,000 system. Give us an idea of how that actually looks.
Okay, yep. So obviously it'll start with a diesel pump, so it's self-sufficient, doesn't rely on 240 volt power, anything like that. So it's normally a turnkey system.
Yeah.
And that's connected to your tank or existing tank, or if we have to buy a tank in to suit the fire system, a standalone tank. So that does add obviously value, unfortunately, and then it's everything after that is all copper system wrapped around. Generally, if it's a new build, it'll sit under your gutter. So it's not a great big pipe, so it's very concealed. You don't really know it's there if you don't look at it. So, and then our specially designed nozzles will wrap around, creating a curtain of water as such, a barrier around the premises onto the windows.
Yeah. And
then up on the ridge, which will cool your roof down, wet all the embers, like that land in your gutters and all that, be all wet, the leaf matter. So it's pretty much just a full barrier around your property, including the walls, roof, and all that kind of thing. So, and the way it's designed, the nozzles, they're less wind effective, if that makes sense. So the winds, obviously there's high winds in a fire scenario, so generally the winds help the nozzles. We'll push them against the walls, windows, and so the way it's been designed is, to take that into consideration. Other than that, it's just, and then maybe a hose reel or 2 hose reels planted around certain spots. So you've got your protection of your whole house if you need hose reels for mop-up or beforehand.
So Matt, can you give us an example of where Cribb Protection has really made a difference to someone's defence of their home?
Yep. So back at Lobethal, there has been a scenario where the fire has come through, and he was very worried. Like, there's a lot of bushland through there, so he's turned his sprinklers on, and it protected his whole house. Yeah, everything around it was burnt, but the house stayed. Is almost like it wasn't touched. There's a couple of bushes out the front; they were a bit burnt, but other than that,
that's what you call a good investment, mate.
Correct, yeah. And then the Mount Bold fires went through. There was there was some good photos of that where that house was protected, and even the CFS parked their truck there, and they were almost, by the sounds of it, in the house as well, like while the fire front went through, because they ran out of water. So they parked behind the house and stayed inside with the residents. So fire front come through, and you could see it burnt right up to the veranda, and then the house, around the house, bushes, everything's still green.
Again, that's where they'd be thanking their lucky stars.
That's right, correct.
Put the defensive measures in place.
Yeah. And there's been well over 20 houses protected by our systems, like say from the systems, and I'm sure there's numerous more out there that have had the same thing. So so it's been put into test, like in a real scenario, and come through, proven to be successful, which is great. So
great stuff.
Yeah.
In terms of the business, where do you want Cribb to go over the next, say 10 years? What aspirations have you and the Snellgroves have?
Well, they've got very high ones. Yeah. The Snellgroves, as you know. So no, which is great though. That's what we want. We want the business to grow, and we want to have 20 employers around Australia. Be great. So, yeah. It's nice to keep it a small little knit one we've got now, but it'd be great to help out other states with our knowledge and our system. So be awesome to grow it bigger.
Yeah, well, it's exciting stuff. So if someone wants to know more about what you do and the services you provide, where do they go?
They give James a call. Yep, this would be the first spot. So
and you got a website or something like that as well?
So there is the website. Yep. So it's cribb.com.au, and then probably it's always best to have a chat over the phone, and then a site visit to determine, because every house is different, every area is different. So we can give advice over the phone, but to see the area, where they live and what's around is probably...
That's the key.
Yeah, that's the key. To come out and have a look, have a chat and say, look, this is what we can offer. This is what we recommend you look at doing. Whether it's a staged approach, people, well, obviously these day and age, people can't afford to go out and spend 30 grand straight away. Yeah. So maybe look at putting a fire pump and reel in 1 year and
just building it up.
Yeah, build it up. start your system. Yeah, put a system in a couple of years' time, or tanks. That's another big thing. A lot of people don't have the water supply.
Yeah.
2 feed systems. So
again, that's something you just have to have up in the hills.
Correct. Yeah. You definitely need tanks. I mean, a lot of places aren't on mains, so they do have tanks anyway, which makes it great. But yeah, tanks is a big thing. Places to put tanks, because obviously there's hills, hilly, so we've got to coordinate with them, work out where's the best spot for the tank. So yeah, there is a fair bit to consider. Yeah, doing it. So
good stuff.
Which was good.
Yeah. Well, it's been great to have you on the podcast, Matt, and find out a bit more about what Cribb does. And anyone that's interested in this, check it out. Check out the website. Give James a call, and you'll be on your way.
Yep. Sounds great.
Good stuff. Thanks,
no
Matt.
Worries. Thank you very much for having me.
No worries. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining me on Building Ideas. For more information on Master Builders or our guests, please visit our website at mbasa.com.au.